Years ago, 13 years ago, when I was thinking about standing for the European Parliament, there was a strong school of thought that Britain ought to join the single currency. There were also, of course, quite a lot of people, sensible politicians and commentators and so on, who were arguing that it could never possibly work, that it wasn't an optimal currency area, that Europe was too diverse, that the economic cycles hadn't converged. And therefore, there was a debate, but the mainstream of the debate, most of the establishment politicians, most of the trade unions, most of the employers' organisations, most of the media, at least the big media, the BBC, the Financial Times, all those people, they had a consensus. Of course, it was the future, it was the way forward. Anybody who didn't see that the euro was the currency of the future, they must be old-fashioned, they must be out of touch, they must be Little Englanders, they must be nationalistic, their mindset was set in the 19th century, they're still thinking of Britain as an empire that can manage by itself, when obviously it needs to be part of Europe. That was the argument, and people who argued against the euro currency were marked down as eccentrics and Little Englanders. Well, I ask you, were we right or were we right?
We were right.
We were right. And I suppose, looking at the disaster that is happening in the Eurozone at the moment, we shouldn't take too much satisfaction in it. You shouldn't rejoice too much in the discomfiture of others. But the fact is, we told them so and they wouldn't listen. And what's more, they've dug a deep hole and they're not prepared to dig their way out of it. There is a way out of it. There are two ways out of it, in fact, that they could resolve their problem, but they will not do so. And one of the reasons they won't do so, they always said the euro will never fail because there is so much political will and political commitment. You know, France and Germany and all those great countries of Europe, they're committed to it, they won't let it fail. Well, I think it was Roger Bootle, the economist, who said, no amount of political will enables you to hit the moon with a pea shooter. If something is just plain impossible, you can have all the political will you like, but you ain't gonna make it happen. And that is the situation with the euro. Let me tell you the two solutions that will make it work. Everybody who has studied economics knows that if you have a single currency area, you will need substantial transfers from the rich areas to the poor areas to hold it together, otherwise it will break apart. In America, they do that through a whole range of programs, Medicare, Medicaid, defense sourcing, a whole range of federal programs that transfers money from rich areas to poor areas. Think about the sterling area. We think we're one country, but the sterling area is a currency union between England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. That is a currency union, and many of us in England are upset that we send so much money to Scotland. Any Scots here today? Yes, there you are. But absolutely, if you want to hold a currency union together, that's what you have to do. So it isn't good enough in the Eurozone for Angela Merkel to agree to send one bailout to Greece, or two bailouts to Greece, or even, because she's going to have to, the third bailout to Greece. She's got to get it into her head that to hold the euro together, she is going to have to send a huge chunk of money every year, probably every month, to Greece, and probably to Portugal, or perhaps to Italy, or perhaps to Spain. And Angela Merkel, of course, knows that her voters will not stand for it, and they will vote against her. That is why she is so reluctant to do what has to be done, or would have to be done, which is to make the fiscal transfers. Okay, I said there were two ways out of it. One way out of it would be a commitment to very large fiscal transfers from the rich countries to the poor countries. The other solution, and it's so obvious, is that you have to break it up.